Okay. This is the video with the last of the story content for Solomon Island, but not the last of the actual content. There will be another video after this, and then we're in Egypt. But I'm Mycroft Holmes.
I'm Falconeer 111. Welcome back. It has been a hot second.
Yes.
The scheduling issues, they happen.
Mm-hmm. But I will be glad to see the last of Solomon Island. It has been fun, but we're gonna beat the shit out of Loki at the end of this video.
Don't you mean Beauregard?
He's Loki. Come on.
Yeah.
They can obliquely hint at it all they want. They've made it very obvious who he is.
Mm-hmm. They did shit.
I do have good news though. My mainline character has geared up enough to unlock one of the last missions you can get in the game, Venetian Missile Crisis.
Okay, that
There's
actually
only
sounds pretty
one.
great.
There's only one more mission after that, and then all of the content in the game is done.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, essentially what we're doing is the Sasquatches are like, okay, this isn't working. We need some resources. So they're picking through the scrap at an abandoned mine. And this is significant because of what Sasquatches are. Sasquatches are really in tune with the natural world. So for them to use anything man-made is like a big deal.
Yeah.
But we will see one of the best named enemies in the game a little bit later.
I love how they found this game found a way to make how overpowered the player character is, like, thematically relevant, so that you can legitimately always steal the glory whenever this stuff comes up. Because you're a bee, and that's what bees do. Is a concrete crusher or something new? Because
Oh, no, this one isn't it. It's one of the names for the golems.
okay. Nice butt shot there.
Metallurgical gear!
Metallurgic. Actually, that's pretty great. It's oh god. It's the sort of amusingly dumb. That's always good to see.
I'm gonna be honest, Metal Gear would fit in real well with this world.
Uh, maybe. You'd have to alter it a little bit, I think, but thematically it would work.
I mean, Vamp.
Yeah.
He'd just be a real vampire.
And what was it? I mean, yeah. God, what's her face? I saw a Let's Play of Metal Gear Solid 2 about 12 years ago, I think. That's the last time I had any. So what was her face? She could do the missile thing, but it was some kind of people were manipulating her, and then she did it for real when she was about to die.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what her name is. Yeah, but they said it was like some sort of magnetic manipulation, but in this she'd just be telekinetic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will never get over how happy I am that this game actually does work with technology in a like an urban fantasy context well. It's not treated as incompatible with science. It's just there are two different aspects of reality that happen to work well or badly together, depending.
Yeah, it's not like in the original edition of Changeling, where if your Changeling, if a Fae had to do something that was boring, it would literally die.
Yeah.
In the original edition of Changeling, you could kill a Fae by making them do your taxes.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, oh god, I never actually ran into.
That's not a thing anymore.
No,
but
like Changing the Lost
is just one of those
great,
stupid original things.
Yeah, the later version they took is my favorite World of Darkness line, far enough. But the Changing the Dreaming is famous for producing Otherkin, lots and lots of Otherkin, at a time when that didn't.
Changing the Dreaming is about
being
loss and abuse.
It's
about surviving abuse at its heart.
You mean the Lost?
Which means it's what?
You mean Changing the Lost, the New World of Darkness?
Lost.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about surviving.
It's surviving
abuse.
Trauma
that's
from.
That's essentially what the Fae did to you. It's some major PTSD shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's hard to run a good Changeling the Lost game, because you have to be really sensitive to those topics you're talking about.
Yeah. It's... And like the whole thing is an actual... Like the books themselves are really well done. And they're a really well done like version take on looking at what it means to have trauma, to have PTSD in a fantastical context. Like almost everything can be connected somehow as a metaphor for the actual experience. That's really meaningful to a lot of people. As opposed to, like, it's possible to play The Dreaming was the first version. It's possible to do it well. But it was just so often it was a bunch of used for very different purposes.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of Vampire, because to me, just the concept of Vampire is, I hope you enjoy spending the rest of your immortal life playing politics.
Yeah, Vampire...
And I'm no,
in every
I would
version,
not enjoy that.
Every version of World of Darkness, Vampire is my least favorite line. The line I have the least amount of interest in.
And like the other half is, I would never get to eat steak again, and I am 100% not down for that.
Yeah, that I can understand too. And
like I enjoy food, and you're telling me, oh, but blood is so much better than food. I don't care how much better it is. Sometimes you like different flavors.
The way you describe it like it's a drug, and the wonderful thing about drugs is that they fucking suck. You can feel it's bad for you. Like, God, it's...
Oh, I do want to give a shout out. I am running a thing for something awful viewers who watch this. I am running a game in the game room where you control the space program of a nation, starting in 1950, and I need 2 more players. So if you're interested in playing as either the British Commonwealth or Western Europe, please contact me or just head to the thread. It's called Space Race with an exclamation point.
I don't have time, but I will be keeping up with that now.
Yeah, I had the idea because someone on another forum is running one where you just run the American space program, and I was like, well, let's make this a competitive game.
Is it like a rule set, or?
It's a very basic rule set. It's essentially you have a budget, and you have your popularity, and you have your position in the space race, and essentially you have to manage not fucking up with keeping the government from cutting your funding.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, you want to be... Well, I imagine the first milestone is someone getting a satellite, but like... I mean, the end result is open-ended. It'll end when I think it should end, so...
It's like, I mean...
But in the other version of the game that someone's running, we've got a lunar space station, and we just finished a moon base, and it's only 1987.
Yeah, that takes making sure people that takes a lot of agile budgeting. Yeah, it's oh god, I'm just thinking of I've played enough Kerbal Space Program to have the most worlds. Like before I played Kerbal Space Program, I did not understand celestial mechanics at all, and now I mean I do about as well as you do when you play a lot of Kerbal Space Program. It's like I don't know if you're familiar.
I've attempted it, but there's a lot of there's a lot of physics involved, and I'm like I have a difficult time with racing games. Like I'm not great at orbital mechanics.
Yeah. I just use walkers, and then they have mods that do all of the calculations for you. I just figured out how to use those. Like I could not.
See, I wouldn't do that. If I'm committing to something like that, I am going to 100% do the math, and I don't want to do the math. So
yeah, and for me, I will cut as many corners as I have to, as long as the end product is not compromised. Like I do not mind. I don't mind I have never minded using strategy guides. I've always made fun.
I don't mind strategy guides.
Like,
I'm just saying,
I mean,
you know.
Also in Paradox games, I cheat out my ass, but that's just Paradox games. And
see, I'm always in Paradox games for the mods that add some form of story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I like TNO and Kaiserreich so much. Sorry, that was my alarm telling me to go to bed. I have a 9 p.m. alarm set. Because if I don't, I won't go to bed. But this is the time that's best for Falconeer, so that's what we do.
Yep.
Plus, it's a weekend, so there's not really a point. It's a fall break at school, so.
Oh yeah. For me, I have so much trouble getting to sleep, even when stars have aligned. I just need this time. I do try to keep things relatively early. Otherwise, I'll be useless at work the next day. I've just never been a very sound sleeper. Yeah.
That sucks. I'm like a rock.
I mean, it's
my ex-girlfriend used to say I slept like a corpse. Because I would just lay there like in a straight line and not move all night.
Like, once I get to sleep, I might wake up in the middle of the night. In fact, I usually do. That's not actually that common. But it can take me literally hours to actually get to sleep. I used to have that problem. I don't know what changed, but I don't have it anymore.
Yeah. I think it's because my ADD meds are better.
I mean, yeah. The only thing I figured out was, for a very brief period, like, I have not had good luck with relationships. You just haven't gone very far. It's a very brief period when I was sleeping next to somebody I was dating. 20 minutes, out, like, 20 peaceful minutes, and I was gone. And otherwise, it can be an hour, 2 hours. And just, all of that is uncomfortable as well.
That sucks. But if we started, you know, it would be. You ever see that Monty Python sketch, The Four Yorkshiremen?
I don't think so. Which is a shame.
It's a bunch of Yorkshiremen who start one-upping each other with how terrible their childhoods were. And I'm just imagining if we started talking, that's what it would be, but with disabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always. I have to be careful. I try to be careful when running the chaos thread that we don't get too deep into that, because that's not healthy. I've seen it happen before, but that's usually people
I think
are able
I've seen it among some people defined as the oppression Olympics.
Yes, I've heard it called.
And that is very much a thing that happens among people. Like I have it worse than you have it is a very big, just social signifier that people work towards.
I've heard it called suffering dick measure.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely both phrases work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch of different terms. It's just, you know, Oppression Olympics has the alliterative advantage, but Suffering Dick Measuring does have this. What's the term? Earthy tone that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Alliterative advantage was alliterated. I didn't realize that. I'm proud of myself, retroactively.
You guys are gonna like next video because we'll be doing all the non-story content, but they went back and added some stuff, some further missions in the area that flesh out what's gonna happen to Solomon Island next.
Oh yeah.
It's where you really see the whole "no one lives" part,
Yeah.
which we've mentioned. Like there's a final mission where you put on a gas mask and walk into the fog, and it's a very trippy dream sequence that really pushes home. Yeah, all the people here are fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the unfortunate, or at least some of them are. But which is really unfortunate because these people are well written and well acted. So I guess in one way it works, making you feel you've won, yes, but at what cost? But on the other hand, there's nothing you could have done to prevent it, really. So it's sort of
it's suffering to some extent. It is casual character death, and I hate that. It's
on the other hand, it's pointful character death because they're really driving home. This is a worldwide problem.
That it is the.
You will suffer casualties, and there will be times you can do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
There will be times you win, and the result is death.
Yeah. And the Templars do spend. I mean, who knows? I can't really speak for the other two. I do hear Dragon and Illuminati don't care, but the Templars do try and drive home. Don't get too distracted, being a good person here, because your energy is better spent saving people who aren't here, just by getting this stopped. It does kind of suck,
Mm-hmm. Thematically, it makes sense, but on a personal level, you're like, well, I like these characters.
I mean, for instance, there's one character I think she's in Blue Mountain, so it's either this. I know she's in Solomon Island, so it's either this episode or the next one, where rumor has it that she's actually a bee and doesn't know it, so she might survive. And we do know that Bannerman.
Oh, the girl in the sweatshirt from last.
No, Carter.
From the academy.
No,
yeah,
this
Carter.
is somebody else.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure Carter will also survive, but I don't think she's a bee. I don't know what she is.
Congratulations, there will be no parade.
Yeah.
You may have hoped working to save the future would be greeted with more fanfare. I'm sorry to be the bearer of little to no news, but you have our thanks.
Well, you've already killed multiple major demons, so. Well, maybe not demons, but multiple major things. Do we find the CDC agent in this episode?
That's next video.
That's next video, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, her missions are not story missions, so we're not doing them. In this video, rather.
Yeah.
This is just the end of all the story content.
Yeah. And I do hear, I'm not sure how true this is, but I do hear there's a bunch of, I'll talk to it when we get to her. This is kind of interesting in a really gross way. And not in a, existentially gross way.
Quick access inventory updated.
But yeah, my main character, I'm just grinding the missions, the intelligence circle missions, where you essentially have those agents you send off to do things and they come back with power-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just essentially grinding that and praying that before this is over, I will have enough points to have unlocked all the content, so I can show you all the very high level gear stuff. Because there's only like 4 missions of that type.
Trying not to make a joke about deep shafts, right?
Mm-hmm. But there's only 4 missions of that type, and well, they used to get you stuff, but they don't anymore because of what they changed between Secret World and Secret World Legends. What they get you now is lore you can't get anywhere else, and is needed for the ultimate the suit I'm working for, which is the Oxford Tweed, which my current character is just wearing a CDC bio suit, so
That's probably wise.
yeah, down here it's confusing because there's crap everywhere.
I remember seeing Indiana Shale. Was that?
Quick access
What?
inventory updated.
Like, right, the first monster I think that we fought in here was like in something shale.
Shade.
Was it just another
It-
seeping shade?
Yeah, it was Seeping Shade, Insidious Shade.
There
They're all
it is,
shades.
Insidious shade. I read that as Indiana Shale, which is an entirely different couple of words.
It is dark.
It is kind of hard to see down. I'm just thinking about it. Speaking of obscure lore, you've probably heard of Centralia. Was it
Yes.
Ohio? Yeah.
God, that would be such a cool thing to do in this game.
Yeah, to go. It's
A fake Centralia that's all on fire, and it's because hell's coming through.
yeah. Okay, then for people who are listening who haven't heard it, and feel free to chime in if you have more information. It was a coal mining town. Is it central? Was it Ohio? Or
I think it's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? No, you're right. It's Pennsylvania. And something, as they got deep into the mines, they didn't tap it out. There was plenty left, but they pretty thoroughly explored it. And then somebody set off a fire, and inside the mine, so the whole mine went up and started pumping out toxic vapor into the town. And it's way too big for them to feasibly put out. And they didn't have any reasonable way to stop it. They couldn't, like, even though they capped the mine, the vapor was just coming up out of the ground. And they had to evacuate the whole town, and people who had been living there for generations had to leave everything behind because they couldn't, it was not safe anymore. And it's still, and this is like in the 70s, and it's still uninhabitable. So they're just slowly burning.
They
through
said
the
the mine will be burning for hundreds of years. There's enough coal down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of the world of darkness, for Promethean, that's where the opening fiction for that book is set, because that's the only place that the person in question can go.
I'm not really a fan of Promethean.
Promethean is one of those later New World of Darkness lines that got kind of weird. That was just like Changeling was, you can see how you play it. I've seen people play it. I run a game, but it was also conceptually hard to manage. Promethean took that to way further extents. It is the Frankenstein RPG, except that you're kind of alone. Like, your presence causes nature to kind of break down, and the whole parts of the premise are just antithetical to having multiple people in a group, and that's not how you play a tabletop RPG.
That's why I don't like Promethean.
I mean, okay, in fairness, I love Mummy, but Mummy's even worse. Like, I don't know if you've ever read it, because it came out real late.
I've never read Mummy, no.
It's Mummy is on a timer. You only have so much time before your cutscene kicks in. I should probably shut up, but this is important.
Oh, thanks for letting me in. I couldn't have done it without you. I really couldn't. Please, I've fought gods. Even in your deepest, wettest dreams, you are no god. I hope you appreciate the twist. I spent some time orchestrating it. I mean, it's what I'm known for, my long cons. They've written sagas about it. Maybe they'll write another one about this. But, you know, probably not. Your kind is always looking for villains. So much better to have...
See, I don't know if that's a glitch or supposed to happen.
Face the reality of it. That what you're fighting isn't physical, it isn't even metaphysical. It's an idea made real. You can't shoot fireballs at an idea. Ideas are like viruses, invisible, all-pervasive, invincible. I was a convenient villain because I questioned their authority, questioned the very foundation of our society. They banished me because they feared me, feared my ideas. They feared what I could become, an end to their rule, a new beginning. But they made a terrible mistake by sending me away. I've been spreading the virus for a long, long time. And now the infection is complete. What is it they say? Dark days are coming, but no, they're right here. This, my silent friend, is an engine. Lovely, isn't it? It's not often you get to see one up close, or at all. The gods themselves would love to get their hands on one of these pretty things. They keep the world turning, quite literally. But they also do other things. You'll see what I mean. And Yggdrasil shudders and groans. Here we go, All-Father. The final destiny of the gods. On my terms, not yours.
Good game, everybody.
I'm not sure Loki understands what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, do you know what Ragnarok is supposed to actually end with? Like, how, what? For a moment there, I thought there were a couple of zombies.
Mom, I think it's working.
Oh, I didn't actually expect that. I had thought you were dead. We got here as quickly as we could. I could feel the tremors inside my head. It's like I knew. It's all coming undone. For as long as I can remember, I've seen a great darkness on the horizon and thought to myself, I sure hope that great darkness doesn't blow up today. I'm pretty sure it just did.
So now what? We're gonna fight it, right, Mom?
I don't think so.
Are you serious? What am I saying? You're always serious. But why? What's wrong?
Something has been displaced, or it's like a tapestry that's coming undone. I don't know how to explain it, and I certainly don't know how to fix it.
Somebody must know. We can't just sit back with a bag of popcorn and watch the end of the world pass us by.
What can I do? I don't know enough about this darkness. All I have are the voices in my head.
See, normally hearing voices in your head is a bad
I was
thing.
the one who knew what had to be done, and I was the one who knew how to do it, even when I was a child.
Only one way to find out, isn't there? Let's go see old Joe.
You know we can't do that, Kyra. We haven't spoken in years. They just turn us away. Blood is thicker than water, and that's not always a good thing.
But it's family, and it's about saving the world, or at least this little piece of it. You're the one who keeps telling me that family's all we got, and we need to stick together through thick and thin. We're in the thick of it now, so you have to talk, and they have to listen.
But it's not just me and Joseph. It's Frank and Joe. It's the other people in the tribe. The wounds go all the way back to your grandfather's death, and they're too deep to mend. They're not going to listen, and they're not going to help. We've been neither a tribe nor a family for a very long time. We're on our own, Kyra.
Old people can be so stubborn, and yeah, that includes you, Mom. If you're not going to do anything, then someone needs to. Someone who doesn't give a crap about any of this stupid family stuff. Before it's too late.
So guess what we need to do?
It's like they're saying this in front of you. No sense of irony. I was expecting them at some point to turn around and go, "Oh right." They never did.
I think that's a result of this not being a single-player game.
Yep. Wish this game was a single-player game, and I always will.
Well, that would, if it was a single-player game, that would mean we'd have a sequel by now.
Yeah. It got enough attention back in the day.
Welcome to our camp. I feel terrible for her, for what's happened to her family.
I still haven't found the Native American member of SA to give commentary in the thread.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when Amir was born. We were
But it wouldn't be fair to them to make them
Mother was killed.
speak on stuff that might be, personal to them.
Stood up
Mhm.
for our beliefs. He tried
This sort of stuff,
us from digging.
splits in the tribe, happens all the time on reservations, I hear.
Some of the tribe, some of us, thought he was being unreasonable, that he was asking for trouble when he confronted the company, that blood would be shed. Him and his brother Red, they wouldn't listen. Said it was now or never, that the miners had to be stopped. Foreman put a bullet in his head, emptied his gun with the rest of us. He was screaming like a man possessed, like something had him, was inside him. His eyes were burning. His shadow was twisted. There were riots, senseless violence, arrests. Then came the storms. This island was ravaged for weeks. After it all quieted down, the rift in the tribe was too great. Some, too many, left. Others, like me and Red, we stayed behind, but it couldn't be mended. It's a terrible thing to have to choose between the people you love. But I was tired. I wanted to look ahead, not back. And there was too much weight to carry. Too much darkness. That is how Ami grew up. In the shadow of a broken family, so I understand her better than she thinks. I took the wrong path, and now it might be too late, but we have to try. Ami is right. We must trust her instinct. Something in the land has been displaced. Something has been broken, an oath. If we had kept to our word, if we had maintained the wards that protect the mountain, this would not have happened. The wards were built by our forefathers and the visitors who helped fight the darkness the last time it fell upon us. Together, the two tribes created a seal that has protected us for generations. It has kept the darkness out, and it has kept the greater darkness locked in. We were chosen to protect and maintain it. 1,000 years the wards have lasted. Until now. We have
failed. And now we have to mend what is broken. And like our forefathers, we cannot do it alone.
This is the one part about the game I don't like, in that a white savior has to come.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be white, but if you are white, you're a white savior.
You're at very least, like, I don't know, outside culture, say, whatever the term would be.
Mm-hmm.
There are parallel concepts of other cultures. Remember, we're seeing bits and pieces of it pop up. Chinese legend, when when Chinese, ethnic Chinese will go be exiled and come back head of an army or something. And but never stopped being problematic, no matter what culture is involved. I saw you click on Arab history there. Like, I don't think that's going to be a thing that you choose. Looking at the names, I think these are all, or at least most of these, many of these are the names of actual skills in the old skill. You may have just reported.
Okay, so what? What we have to do is tower defense now. Three separate instances of tower defense.
Thrilling. I mean, I was gonna say, thinking hard about it, that I think they may also have needed a white savior thing back then, but then it kind of implied it was a lot more equitable and a lot more two different peoples working as equals rather than, white savior coming. That was pretty fast. Bolted back.
Yeah, I'm way over leveled for this.
I mean, well, more like the way that they all bolted back into position.
Oh. What I really wanted to do was transfer the gear off my fully leveled character and move it to this one, both so I could do the game faster and level up that gear. But apparently it's character bound and I can't trade it in.
Yeah, which makes sense. Because, oh man, that would break the difficulty curve just so hard.
Yeah, there's not much to say about this. We do this 3 times. And then there's a boss battle.
We get to see our old friend draw. Dude, I know this is impossible, but I just kind of wish that they tried to have like the various factions throughout Solomon Island that you work for all pull themselves together, participate in this whole thing. Have you
That
just
would be fun.
yeah, just fighting alongside Sheriff Bannerman, Harder, and whoever the fuck they could dig up. Just depending on who you did missions for.
See, that's what would happen in a single player game.
Yeah.
The problem is this is half single player, half MMO.
Hey, there's another player character. This game isn't
Mhm.
abandoned. It's not,
No, they just have a low pop cap on the server.
and it's. I mean, it's still not that active, but it was also never. But even if it's not active, there's still people around. It's just ignoring you. It's too high level.
Yeah, once you get high enough levels, some enemies will just not. I can't wait till we get to one part of Transylvania, because there's some real shit in Transylvania.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff. And you know, they actually show off bits of Romania, which is not something you actually get in video games, unless that's part of Romania is like Dracula's
Unless it's
castle.
Castlevania.
Yeah, exactly. That's not Romania. That's Dracula.
Well, I mean, we do essentially fight only two things in the Romanian chapter.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's, not entirely.
Oh yeah, there's also the ghosts. How could I forget?
Yeah. But look, I do like what they did with the Draculash, even though for various reasons I don't think.
Oh
it's
yeah,
really-
that's a really great take on.
I also really like how, as far as I can tell, that is just about how you pronounce Romanian, and it's a language you don't hear spoken much in the U.S. But it's, if you have any experience with Romance languages, it sounds interesting. It's like you can tell it's Romance, but it's an entirely different branch of Romance. Like most of its other relatives dead have sounds.
Oh, do you want to hear a fun story about a language?
What?
The Dalmatian coast of the Balkans once had a language, Dalmatian.
Yeah.
The last speaker gave an interview with a linguist and put down some 500 words. The linguist wanted to come back and talk to him, but the next day he was killed when sewer gas exploded and sent a manhole straight into his head.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I actually knew about the Dalmatian language. That was another relative, part of the same group, but that I did not know.
Yeah, it essentially died because the last speaker died in a road accident. That's how it was classified on Wikipedia, I believe. It just said road accident, and I looked it up, and it was
It's like, what?
yeah, just a chunk of shrapnel right into his head from road construction or something.
That sucks. I'm willing to bet I've said this, but if I did, it was months ago. Do you want to know a fun fact about language?
Sure.
So, if I say Wallachia, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's a part of Romania.
Did you know that it's the same word as Wales?
No. What does it mean?
It's foreigner. Though they are, the word, it's Walhaz, I think, is the Proto-Germanic word. It means outsider or foreigner or something. It doesn't speak the same language. And even though Germans were most pushed back way back during the Slavic Slavic migrations, this like 600s-ish. There was a point where when the Romanians were going from Roman Dacians into Romanians, where there were a bunch of Germanic speakers there, they called them foreigners, and they gave that area the name of the area that's just north of the end of the Danube, the name Wallachia. And when speakers of the relatively same language the Saxons ended up in England, they called the people they ran into foreigners. So eventually they became the Welsh. A fun fact about Welsh: the actual, I think the term is ethnonym for the area is Cymru, pronounced Cymru, which means if it had undergone the same linguistic evolution as Angleland had into England, it would have become Cumland, which would have been wonderful, but we missed out on it.
Yes, but then it wouldn't be funny because you wouldn't call things cum.
Well, people still do still laugh at place names. Have you ever talked about Brest in Brittany, in northwestern France?
Yeah, I know of Brest. I also know of Hell, Michigan.
Yeah, that's a particularly famous one. There's the butthole Peniston in Southeast
My favorite is
Asia.
that one Welsh town that has the insanely long name, that only has the insanely long name for tourism.
Yes, there's a video on YouTube of some like English broadcaster rattling the whole 36 letters of it off flawless.
Mm-hmm.
It's some wild shit out there. Language is weird. It's like, you know how bear, you know
Means the brown one.
Yeah,
The brown
yeah.
one. It doesn't actually mean the animal.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. The bears were so scary that they kept coming up with euphemisms.
As a result, we don't know what the actual word for bear
Well,
is.
that's a common misconception. We kind of do. There are some Baltic languages have a name for bear with unclear roots, and they're pretty sure those are descended from the actual, like, Indo-European word for bear, but they don't know for certain.
Oh. Well, it's language. It's one of those things where you can never really know for certain. Unless they wrote it down, and even then, you're like, well, how do you pronounce this?
I mean, like, it's
before the advent of standardized spelling. I mean,
look, we are English speakers. We should know better than to say that standardized spelling means anything when it comes to pronunciation.
Okay, that's true.
And granted, almost every other language in the globe is better at that than English is, but still, it's, you know. I'm remembering.
At this point, I was wondering what was supposed to spawn, because it didn't.
Nope, and it resolved itself. Just remembering there's a paper, not a paper, there's a letter by a bishop in the 400s where he's complaining that everyone in other parts of former Roman Empire, they're saying the Paternoster wrong. And that's our primary source for the development, other than like something that came a little later, for the development of the beginning of the Romance languages, and just how he transliterated how they're saying the prayer wrong.
Do we have any written sources of Vulgar Latin, or
Yes, we do.
all we have? Oh, okay.
We have plenty. They're not like.
We all played a part. We all made mistakes. The only thing that matters.
No, go ahead. There's subtitles.
Yeah, that's fair. You can just mute us on cut. where was I? But yeah, we have a bunch of writing from the era, but usually it's people trying to pretend that they speak Latin. How do I put this? I've heard it said that the Roman Empire didn't fall until Justinian invaded Italy and told the people there they were no longer Romans and that they'd been conquered. They were now being brought back under Roman control. And the people there had always considered themselves Roman. Even though the empire was gone, they still spoke the same language they thought they always had. But it took centuries for the idea of the languages they spoke to being the idea of them being actual separate languages instead of just really thick dialects to sink in. And it was mostly it's just like a few scattered letters or people complaining about bad prayers or people talking. It's a particular one where there's like
It's perfectly safe.
what is it? God. Okay, so have you ever heard of the Langue d'Oc?
No.
So there was a famous essay written by some author, I think in like the 800s, where he described how classical Latin does not have a word for yes, which is incredibly on brand for the ancient Romans. That's English. And as the Romans' languages split, the languages in modern southern France adopted the word for descended from the word hawk, which I think means this, as the way of saying yes. People of Spain and Italy took to saying took to using a version of the word sick, and which means thus, and languages in northern France took the word that I don't remember what it means, but it was like wheel, and became the we that is yes in modern French. And this guy classified southern French languages as the languages of law, northern French languages as the languages of wheel, and Spanish and Italian languages as the languages of sea. And that was there's a huge chunk of like southwestern France that became known as Langue d'Oc after this, partly because that's also based on term for west. But
I thought that area was called Occitan.
Yeah, that Occitan after the word, same word that means Occidental, but Languedoc is an area with it, Occitan.
Oh.
I think there's actually,
Yeah.
I think I'm wrong actually on that, but I do know that people do still call them like Langue d'Oc. There's some descendant of that phrasing in the name of those not modern languages, and it was famous in its day, and it's famous now because it shaped how we see the languages at the time. It's like how one day when we get to Egypt, we'll be able to talk about Manetho, the Egyptian priest who wrote in Greek, and we've lost all his sources, but he's the guy. If you've heard of the Egyptian dynasties, he's the guy who set them in stone, so to speak. He's the reason they don't dynasty to him means something very different than what it means to us, but we still use his rough like 30 dynasty list thousands of years later. Hey, Beauregard.
Yeah, we don't even get to talk
Or
to
not
him. We
both.
just sort of
Oh.
run in and fucking shoot him.
He's just sort of walking around, not even sitting down or doing.
Yeah, if you play this, always kill his other guys because they will hit you with heavy attacks. Yeah, as you can see, we're over leveled for this. He's level 30, we're level 36.
It happens when you do all the content.
And that's the thing, I haven't even done all the content for Blue Mountain yet.
Yeah.
We still have the CDC, the Orochi camp, and some miscellaneous missions.
including the chain. Is the Chainsaw War still in Legends?
I think it might be. I
I
don't
hope
know.
so. It's great.
Yeah, I know you don't get the chainsaw as a weapon because there are no alternate weapons anymore.
But yeah, like it was just a temporary thing that you could use to cut through a bunch of. It's great.
Speaking of zombies, I'm looking forward to Dying Light 2.
The only exposure I have to Dying Light is Zero Function, and that's not the best way to get exposure to a series you're not familiar with.
Dying Light is good. I considered LP. I tried to LP it at one point, but technical difficulties.
It's LPs for all of us.
You're gonna love the cutscene that comes after we kill
Oh
him.
yes.
Here we go. Guess who's back?
Cassie, thank you, Mia. I knew you'd come through for me. There'll be a place at my table when I've taken back.
Come through for you. Do you have any idea who I am? Or who I am about to become?
Don't touch that. It's not for you. You have no fucking idea what you're messing with.
Funny.
I think this is implying that she's another god person.
I just hope you understand, Beaumont.
I think.
It's
I don't
implying
know.
she's King Arthur.
It's-
Not you.
No, this isn't Fate Stay Night.
I mean, yeah, but no, I that is a theory that I've heard seriously advanced. Either she's King Arthur or descendant thereof. Hence the name Cassie King pulling the sword out of the stone. I think they call this Excalibur.
Yeah, they did call it Excalibur.
I don't think she ever shows up again. But...
Nope.
Oh hey, this. That's the Amundsen expedition.
Mm-hmm.
There was a. That's
Yeah, he's speaking Norwegian and I don't speak Norwegian, so I'm just
Yeah.
looking at these. You can pause and look at it.
Yeah. The Amundsen expedition was part of one of the big early ARGs of this game. Like, especially since the company that made this is Norwegian.
What was the ARG?
Fuck if I know. Give me a sec. I might be able to look it up. I think it was something about. What was it? Yeah, it's on the wiki.
Come closer.
Where am I? It must be a memory.
Jeg legger denne journalen igjen ved teltene våre. Jeg tar med meg en annen
Right.
inn i det ukjente. Om
We can give you what you deserve. We can give you the world. Your potential is being wasted by your puppet masters. Your future holds. We are generous in
Yeah, a mysterious voice is contacting me with temptations of power, like I should totally listen to you.
And
Look around. Witness the legacy of those who were brave and dared to dream. You can rise high. Some choose to be granted the gift of language, to use words to seduce and change the world. But true power cannot be contained by words, and true power can shape the world to your will. Some choose to be granted the gift of sight, to envision and recreate beauty. But beauty is hollow compared to true power. Some choose to be made into figureheads, pale shadows of those who walk
right now, I'm
and
not
enlighten
talking
the
because I'm
path
trying to.
alongside us.
I'm interested in actually watching
Become the
these.
one who pulls the strings, not the puppet on the throne. Some choose material wealth, mere shadows of true wealth, true power. You will have no need for paper and metal when you carry within you something much greater. Come, and we'll speak of your future. We are fascinated by you. We want to hear everything about you.
I can't believe it.
Good, good.
Oh my god.
The time has come to accept our gift to you. We can give you everything. The world.
Away from me.
You only have to choose to accept it.
Fuck you! That's what I imagine my character saying.
Run away. You won't be able to escape the end of days.
Just jumping backwards off the cliff, giving it a double middle finger.
Yeah,
That's how I imagine my character acting. At this point, he's not afraid of death. So,
I mean, he's died. He's died a couple times. Been around the block.
I just want to know if the body dissolves after he dies.
That's a good point. I think it does.
Well, that sucks because there's so many fewer pranks I can play.
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's. They're probably immune to it by now, but you could just like get some bees together, have them jump off cliffs a bunch of times or something. That doesn't work. Like, and just set up whole rooms of people sitting in judgment when people walk in, just see all these dead bodies staring. It sounds beautiful.
But that's the end.